The Traditional Rulers Council says the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has decided to end its sit-at-home directive in the southeast. According to a report, Emeka Achebe, chairman of the council, said IPOB yielded to the appeal of the Traditional Council to make way for peace. Achebe spoke after a peace-building and security meeting in Oka, the Anambra State capital. The monarch was quoted as saying the stakeholders have continually held meetings on how to resolve the impasse with the agitators. And to discuss the issues in the southeast and the peace efforts being made by the Anambra State Governor, Chukwuma Soludo, along with the traditional rulers there, have now been joined by Associate Professor Sam Amadi, a Rise News analyst and a legal practitioner as well. Thanks so very much, Sam.
Thank you.
I think it's been a very, very busy period for the newly elected governor of Anambra State, tackling developmental issues in the face of, a larger insecurity, hydra-headed one, for that matter, with iPods. And if the resolution reached by the stakeholders, including the traditional rulers and the rest, it would, be very, very consequential to development that has been lacking, right?
I think he did the right thing to kind of highlight on insecurity as a key issue to tackle. I mean, he has got a very big, some would say grandiose development plans, but none of that will work if you don't deal with insecurity. So he started well by flagging it as a key driver, as maybe, if you like, the pivot that can turn around things. Again, some people argue that he didn't start very well with first issuing executive order before consultation or before rounded consultation. What we saw last week or early this week is how to go about it, which is basically, get the stakeholders in. Don't go with some kind of textbook rationality. You try to what to call maybe deductive, inductive reasoning, and now adductive, which means you try to build on the best scenario, engage people at the local level, talk to the actors who know what's going on, and then you build up some kind of consensus. So what we're seeing now is significant work being done by traditional rulers, the church leaders, and the government of Anambra State to create an opportunity for a sense in which combatants, if you want to use the word, get back to shield their swords and understand that, look, the driver of this crisis has been the sense that government has been irresponsible and not sensitive or not responsive to some of the issues, the aggression against the youths in the southeast, the felt sense of injustice and all that, and perhaps IPOB members have felt particularly done in by both the proscription and the incident police military action. So a government that engages them and believable one that says, look, let's sit together, and recognizing, like Soludo did, to say, look, we need to deal with Nnamdi Kanu's detention and sincerely make
jail him or free him.
Free him.
Yeah.
So that sense of sensitivity creates, in return, investment of trust by these agitators, these youths, and that's what we're seeing now. That maybe
we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it in Imo State, but only just on Sunday here, 2 road safety officers were gunned down in Anambra State, in Oka, apparently. So sad.
Yes, Anambra has escalated. If you watch Newi, which is probably the technology hub,
the industrial hub
of West Africa. I mean, Professor Lester Tuture talked about African Renaissance come from Newi.
Newi, sure.
Unfortunately, that place has come under repeated attack in the last couple of weeks before build up to this conference summit. So we are seeing degeneration of Anambra. It's very Newi, because the idea of Newi being under attack means that if you watch the corridor between Asaba is getting, people are moving from Newi to Asaba. The technologists, if you look at what's going on, Lagos, badly, the first wave of crisis caused the setting up of Lagos, some of the computer villages in Lagos, where people left Anambra. So the danger here is, if you don't do something drastic, you could see Newi become a shell of itself, where much migration of technology, of merchants, and therefore serious financial crisis for the state. Don't forget that the governor talked about huge debt and low revenue left now. So they need to build up, create that level of peace so that now we can remain a hub. And then Onitsha, which is also an important place, and also a place that's racked by violence, could be kind of won over. You don't want to be like Imo. I mean, Imo has, the problem with Imo is that Imo has not had this level of good faith conversation going on. You know, the political combatants, there's so much politicization, the government thinks it's political enemies, and therefore the governor has never had that.
So everybody is at war with itself,
exactly. Or like Soludo, who comes in a wave of enthusiasm and support. So you could call about a round table. The government in Imo State is isolated and has no convenient power, no social capital to bring people together to begin to seek solution to that crisis. So I see Anambra perhaps getting solved and Imo remaining unsolved.
Still escalating.
Quality of governance.
Yeah, the quality of governance is quite important here. And when you look at the youths in the Southeast, it's like expressing some form of helplessness, hopelessness, utter, underdevelopment, unemployment, and the rest. We know, I mean, how entrepreneurial, the Easterners can be, but they don't seem to have a feel of governance, economic development.
And you see, last week I was at Center for Memory in Enugu to speak, and the idea was, look, prioritizing socio-economic, social and moral reconstruction of Southeast. You see, the people are helpless and hopeless, and they have lost confidence in the Nigeria state. But the danger of that, the unintended consequence, is that the Southeast social capital that enabled it to be entrepreneurial, to grow the economy under the MI, has been depleted. So the Southeast is now in a sorry state where the youths themselves, out of hopelessness, out of feeling rejected by Nigeria, are now driven to despair and to violence. And you talk about cultism, you talk about some say even cannibalism. So really we see a zone that had head start because of entrepreneurship and social capital becoming dragged down. So looking at the future is horrible.
The worst of them all is Abia State. What's going on there? Area. One of the biggest markets in Africa, manufacturing hub, for leather works, for clothing materials. You remember the World Bank sunk in several millions of dollars there to regenerate, the traders there and the artisans. But no roads, no light, nothing to write home about. What kind of governance is that?
That's a problem. So interestingly, you expect more restiveness in Abia that has thorough misgovernance compared to Anambra. But we're seeing less of that. You see, Abia is a case that incompetence is dangerous and it could ruin everything. Aba should have been the heart of commerce in West Africa. It used to be, and could be generating multiple of millions of naira as IGR. But the question is, look, there are no policy support to kinetize and deepen the commercial capability of that Aba. So what we see in Aba is kind of trapped and daily diminishing in potential because of successive and continuing bad and low quality governance. So if you get, and that's why some of us have argued that the Southeast primary need now may ironically not be the presidency as much as we want it, but actually might be getting back to the days of Emma Wara, where a latecomer are stripped.
Please don't forget to call Simon Bakwe.
Fantastic. Later.
Yeah.
But Emma Wara and Emma Wara era, what was significant was that they were latecomers. They were far behind the Southwest in terms of IGR. But less than a decade, they closed down that gap. They were, everything that the Southwest did in 2 years after, MI repeated it, and then became the fastest growing economy in the world. Why? Because they had cadre of leaders who the Akanibiams of this world. So there were people who were both educated, who had a model of Asian governance, and who replicated and brought together technocrats, the kind of thing that Soludo could do. Scholars, statesmen, and technocrats, forming a triumvirate, if you like, to create development. So if that's more important to Southeast, in my view, than very moderate competition for federal power. And so some of us have argued that if you recreate land order, starting from, you must have land order. And that's why IPOB commitment to end the sit-at-home and perhaps Soludo's leadership in pushing for the release of Nnamdi Kanu could recreate back that's law and order. Then you start to deal with entrepreneurship, human capital development, and then begin to model the same cottage industry, the same community-based economy that translated into real poverty alleviation. Yeah. And so you save the Southeast, but not for the Southeast to be the less violent part of the country under the UNDP report. But arguably, it could stand the same line with Northeast now because of this.
Yeah, what is going on? But one state there must be, thumbs up. The governor, Ugwuanyi, even though is very quiet, he never grants media interview. But Enugu State has been very quiet. The development may be slow, but they are very palpable. You see them. I mean, starting from the time of Chimaroke, Unamani, and the rest. Those infrastructural developments have been built upon, and they are continuing. And you find that the restiveness in Enugu State is near zero.
Yeah, because Enugu State is a low energy politics. I mean, there's always consensus. These political big guys come together, anoint somebody. From Namane, Chime, anointed, Buruburu now, Ugwuanyi. And maybe it's only Kekromado who might change that dynamics by his own personal strength. Usually, people don't aspire in Enugu. They anoint with the next person. Yeah, the same with Abia.
But Kekromado does not stand any chance because of the zoning formula which you've talked about.
But he has the energy.
And of course, he is a creation of the great Obiano Ebano movement.
He has also power that he probably would aim to scatter that, that tranquility in Enugu politics. It's a low energy politics.
No, but quite a number of the leaders, they have said no, that the status quo must be. So
I support status quo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's peaceful, why not? Well, it's all right. He has his right to want to do that. But would he fight against the elders and the leaders of thought in the state?
It will change Enugu politics somehow. Enugu used to be very tepid. Maybe it's good. Abia the same. It's a low energy politics where the leaders come together and anoint whoever they want. Right from Oji Tokalo to Oji, the second Oji.
That's Abia State.
Enugu and Abia. Imo, Anambra, that volatility. Enugu, Abia, calm. Ebonyi has come in now as where Umar has done a great job in infrastructure. But what has lacked is governance and helping deal with the poverty by democratizing governance, the space so that more voice, more empowerment.
Let's go back to the public space in Anambra State and the rest. I mean, the economic viability is no doubt the Asian tiger, model. You get the point. What do you think are the quick fixes for Soludo as a governor?
I think three things he has to do. I started them well. One is engage back to community-based consultation and consensus around security. Around entrepreneurship. He's gone to Oboko, which is like a slump, and he want to clean it up. So urban renewal is critical in Anambra, but Soludo's greater resources want the people's enterprise, the people's financing that will now lead the way for foreign financing. So he has a good advantage that he has people who have the capacity, the knowledge base, the finances there. What he needs now is the leadership and the humility, not to run from a textbook rationality, but really engage those who know. Some of these security guys, there are people who are insiders of this movement. You should get them to the table, maybe appoint a Homeland Security Commissioner who should not be an expert from Harvard, or Yale or Cambridge, but somebody in the bush, in the field with these actors. If Soludo brings some level of humility and what you call metis, local knowledge, with his intellectual capability, I think he will drive Anambra.
Anambra will become an El Dorado, maybe the next Dubai. And it's just
Dubai, Singapore,
across the Niger from where I come from.
And you enjoy it too.
Thanks very much, Professor Sam Amadi, Arise News analyst, legal practitioner as well.